Morning. This is the Connection Experience with Dr. Glade. I am going to talk about introverts today. So, I was having this conversation with a couple of my clients over the past couple of weeks about introverts and how we get a bad rep. I am introverted. I might not seem introverted, but I am. What introverts really, really need is internal processing time. We also need to recharge alone. We need our little bubble to recharge. We have a limited amount of resources for social performance. That's what an introvert is. It's not that we're antisocial. It's not that we don't want friends or want to hang out or want to be out with other people. It's not that we're stuck up. These are the things that I've heard over time. I'm stuck up. I'm a homebody. I don't like being around people. That's not really true. I love being around people. I just have a limited amount of time I can do that. I noticed it the most when my husband and I moved in together. I had been living on not a long time, a few years, and I had to get used to somebody being in my space all the time again, and it was an adjustment. There would be times where I'm just like so looking forward to just being by myself, and I'm like, oh, oh, you're still here. Okay, you're still here. Okay. And we had this small little apartment. It was only a couple of places that we could go for space. And he likes his space too. So it really wasn't a big issue, but it was sort of like, you're still here. So there are times where, because I talk to people all day, right? That's a lot of social performance. And performance is not being fake. Performance is just, you have to engage. You have to be engaging. You have to be interested. You need to be able to pour out into people. And sometimes it's really draining. So you'll see your little battery life kind of go down. And then when it gets too low, we're less patient. We could be irritable. We might be short with people. It's almost like we're trying to sabotage, but not at the conscious level. We're not doing it on purpose. We're not doing it to be mean, but it's our check engine light. It's like flashing. It's like, okay, it's time to re-up. You need to go take a break. I have a 3-year-old and an almost 9-month-old and a husband. So I'm doing this work all day where I'm talking to people, and I love my job. I love doing what I do. So it is not it's still a genuine effort, right? But it is effort. So you're drained by the end of the day. And then you have to come home to this whole other part of your day where you're pouring out more into people, into your children and into your husband. So it can be draining. So what I do is I take a little bit of time in the car. I might sit in the car, listen to music, or I might just sit in silence, breathe, or I'll tell my husband I need a few minutes. I'm not angry with anybody. Nobody did anything wrong. It's just time to recharge. So how do you respect an introvert in a relationship? Give them their space. They're internal processors. So sometimes they just need to sit with their own thoughts. Sometimes they just need to sit and do nothing. It is not personal. So you try not to personalize their need for that space. Try not to personalize their need to not go to a party or an event. They're warning you. If they say no, they ain't up for it, they are not up for it. And do not force an introvert to be more extroverted. They can, but they need to do it on kind of on their own terms. And sometimes we have to fight through that, right? Like, I can't say no to every single social event. That would be selfish. But I might secretly be hoping something gets canceled. That's true. I do that. I secretly hope things get canceled sometimes. So forgive them for that. That is not them trying to be a homebody necessarily. It's about the amount of resources they have for that social performance. So they're drained. They need that space. So if your partner says, I need 15 minutes to kind of gather myself, they're not angry. They just are recharging, and that's okay. So try not to force an introvert to be an extrovert. This is personality. This is pretty stable over time. I saw this meme the other day. No, it was a meme. It was a t-shirt. And actually, I saw it a while ago. And like me and my best friend laughed about it because she's an introvert too. And it said, introverts unite separately in their own homes. And it's so true. It was funny. It was true. We do like people. We might have a small group of friends that we keep around because we trust them, we know them, and it doesn't feel like social performance when we're around them. I love my family, I love my friends, so I enjoy those moments and I look forward to those moments, but I have an expiration date around those moments. And, warning signs is you start watching the clock, it's time to recharge. You start being irritable with people, it's time to recharge. If you're short with people, it's time to recharge. If you're avoiding eye contact or finding yourself less present in those moments, it's time to recharge. If you start looking for ways out, it's time to recharge. Pay attention to yourself. There is a whole bunch of stuff out there on how introverts can engage in self-care, and it looks very different than how an extrovert takes care of themselves. An extrovert may want to vent to take care of themselves, and that's great to unpack. And introverts might get to that too. They might like unpacking too, but a lot of the times we're internal processors. So extroverts, they might need to vent, and we need to give them that space to do that. Introverts might need some quiet time. So you're trying to understand and respect each other's differences so you don't step on anybody's toes. Check yourself out. There's tons of ways to assess whether or not you're an introvert and extrovert. Figure out what your personality type is. Communicate that to the people around you. One, so that they don't misunderstand or personalize what's happening. I know there are times where I look edgy and it has nothing to do with anybody else. It is just that check engine light. It's time. It's time to go take a break. You take a break and then you reintegrate yourself back into that social setting. Give yourself a limited amount of events. So if you're a person that really knows themselves and they can't handle a ton of events, don't overbook yourself. There are times where I know I just have to do a lot of things because a lot of things are going on at the same time. That's fine. But if I have any control over it, I'm going to probably reduce the amount of social interactions to maybe 2 things a weekend, maybe less, depending on what's going on. Know yourself. Figure out how to teach people about that, and recharge, because it really isn't fair to the people around you when you start biting everybody because you haven't taken care of yourself. That's not nice. That's not fair. They deserve it. All right, everybody. Introverts unite separately in their own home. Take care of yourselves and don't forget to connect.